I have become something of a frustration to myself. I do not have the temperament to run my channel as a business model, and I don't have the temperament to work in the creative industry. I have tried in the past. And yet, as far as I'm concerned, I am a creative powerhouse. That's big talk, I know, for somebody with a YouTube channel like I've got. But I do mean it. So I need to do something. It strikes me that although I don't feel I have the temperament for self-promotion, cultivating my temperament for self-celebration is something I can embrace. It's a thing I wish to embrace. I'm very much interested in the human condition, which I know, strangely, is not for everyone. It's strange because we are all human. At least the majority of us seem to be. But I can't help being interested in what it means for me to be me. I would say that I honestly can't understand why so many of you are not interested in what it means for you to be you. But that would be a lie. I know what it feels like to witness that the rest of humanity barely glances your way, and to draw the conclusion that judgment has already long since been passed. That pretty much is the human condition, around these parts at least. And the tiny handful of individuals who are more than glanced at by the rest of humanity tend to have an awfully disillusioning time of it, as far as I can tell. I have to do what? So that I can be more than glanced at? Oh, that's pretty much how it goes, isn't it? There's actually only one single possible solution to such a universal problem. We got to celebrate ourselves. We got to celebrate our own self. Each and every individual who has not worked out that their task of celebrating their own self is the very fucking task they are actually here for, is an individual who literally does not know what they're here for. And there's getting on 8 billion of us, so we are told. So, in the spirit of putting so much time into celebrating myself that there is none left over for bashing anybody else, anybody at all, I'm going to go on a self-celebration spree. You can bash me for this if you like, but I can only assume that if you do, then you can only be not putting in as much time on celebrating yourself as yourself deserves. And that's on you. Nobody else is going to do it for you. Not properly. Because they're all too busy not celebrating their own self to even know what is worth celebrating in the first place. Well, I've had enough. In the coming videos, I will introduce you to some of the things I am proud of that I have done. Things that the world has barely glanced at, but things that do deserve to be celebrated all the same. I'm going to start this celebration spree off here by celebrating Localilly, the first film I ever made, apart from half a music video I made in college with a friend. Localilly. I am enormously proud of this film. Localilly has gone uncelebrated for too long, and there's nobody who is going to do it or can do it properly but me. So let's have at it. Why should I celebrate Localilly, my first film? Is it a great film? There's no straight answer to that. It's a first film. Enough said. It has all the hallmarks of the inexperienced filmmaker to some degree or other. But for me, it is eminently worthy of celebration for the beautiful folly I feel it is. And hey, what is more beautiful than a beautiful folly? Localilly was a folly because it was tantamount to an act of hubris on my part. I felt disgruntled by my dalliances with working or attempting to work in the creative industry in various ways, and I attended a workshop at Eden Court in Inverness, which basically consisted of an old punk rocker turned filmmaker who was extolling the virtues of the Canon 7D for filming in high definition. He was an old punk rocker. He used to be the lead singer of the Buzzcocks, I think. So he was full of the you can just get on and do it yourself spirit. I got inspired. I thought to myself, right, yeah, I'll take some of that. And I decided I would write and make a full-length movie myself. And I would give it my all, and I would see if I could make something that was special enough to catch people's imaginations and get me more than a glance from the rest of humanity. This was at the time, back in 2010, when I was subsisting off the government as a self-employed guy who occasionally got to invoice people for the occasional bit of graphic design or general labouring. Today, I occasionally get to invoice somebody for a bit of video work mostly. I managed to raise £5,000 by begging friends and relatives, basically. I bought my camera, some lights and a microphone, wrote my script, asked some friends and strangers to star in it and help out. I wrote a couple of songs and gathered together a miscellany of friendly musicians to create music for it and for the soundtrack. I made a scale model of a Victorian time machine out of bits of plumbing. We filmed, I edited, and Localilly was made. My beautiful folly. Even today, I would have to pick it as one of the highlight phases of my life. In terms of feeling awake and alive and vital, I was poor as shit, but I just wanted to give myself that experience of allowing myself the freedom and the drive to do something exactly as I wanted to see it done. I operated the camera and sometimes a microphone. I directed, produced and edited. My friends and new friends made it all possible for me with their grace, generosity and talent and character of personality. We didn't bother cutting our teeth on making a few short films first in order to learn some craft. We just dove right in and started making my feature-length Victorian time travel steampunk romance that clocks in at an hour and 20 minutes or so. Pure folly. And what can I say? I knew I was alive. It is the work of a home hobbyist and an inexperienced one at that. And that is why I'm so proud of it. And the result is coherent. It's coherent, and it really had no right to be. I'm proud of its coherency. If you are willing and able to be interested in a piece of hobby work, then you are probably the most suitable audience for it. You can find it here on my channel. Localilly follows the story of Lily, a woman who wakes up in a field on the Black Isle, wearing Victorian clothing, holding a Victorian book, who then stumbles across the bridge to Inverness in a state of confusion and collapses in a busy retail park. Is she mad? Has she really time travelled? Or is something else going on? She has flashbacks and dreams of a Victorian life, and she's taken under the wing of some young guy who has a crush on her. It has both a dreamy and a quirky quality to it, I think. That's what I was going for, and it feels pretty dreamy and quirky to me. I actually stole or borrowed the plot structure of Localilly from one of my favourite films from the 80s, also set in Scotland, though it didn't have any time travel in it. An imaginary prize goes to the first person to tell me which film I stole the core structure from. The single shot that I'm most proud of in the entire film came after a nightmare of trying to employ forced perspective on my lead actress and scale model time machine by dangling the model by fishing lines from a frame. I tried for hours to get it to work, while unpaid actors stood around dressed as Victorians in the middle of a field on a quite lovely summer's day. And in the end, I just had to say, fuck it, put the time machine on a box and I'll just have to work out how to take the box away later. It turned out when I got home with the footage and I did some research to actually be very easy to take the boxes out. But I had no idea when I was in the field if this was going to be possible for me. So when I did get to go back for a reshoot and get this shot here, I felt like I'd achieved the impossible. Okay, we're rolling. Stop. Good. Go forward. I was just a guy with a few bits of plumbing and some experience of painting board game miniatures. I'm not supposed to be able to pull a shot like this out of thin air, but there it is. I did it. One little victory. And that is such a great feeling. It felt kind of otherworldly to me, unfortunately. I was so unused to it. But it's a great feeling, one to have more of. Achieving something you weren't sure you would be able to achieve. The cast and the musicians and the other people that helped, they were all amazing. And they pretty much let me tell them what to do. I think we should all get to be in charge of something from time to time. It's good to know you can be in charge. So, for example, I would tell these 5 musicians in a room who sort of kind of knew each other to give me a dreamy, yearning piece of music to represent Lily going backwards in time through her memories. And they would just start plucking away at their instruments and something lovely would coalesce out of it. I can see why a person might get addicted to directing. Seeing what magic you can squeeze out of people who are willing and engaged is really cool. Everybody who helped me on Localilly, thank you so much. I love you all. You've given me the happiest memories. I'm hugely proud of Localilly. I did a terrible job of promoting her after she was made. I think it came from my learned resistance to the creative industry. Back in 2010, It still didn't seem that clear to me how one could possibly circumnavigate the industry and go direct to a ready and willing audience. So I made my beautiful folly and then just didn't know what to do with her. I submitted her to a few places for consideration, was not considered, and then just wondered what I should do next. Life moved on, as it tends to. I learned a lot, and I had a great time in the process. One of the greatest times of my life. And humanity barely glanced, but hey, humanity is as humanity does. I had a good time, and hopefully I wasn't the only one.